Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again for a new Film Fanatic show. It is 11:25 on a Saturday morning. Hope everyone's doing good. December 20th, getting closer and closer to getting visited by the man in the big giant red suit. So, yeah, I want to thank everyone who came out to the show last night. We had a really killer show last night at Hey Sailor with Quantum and Travis Lloyd. It was our first time doing a show together with both of our bands, and it was the first time for Travis to. He just kind of started doing this newer electronica based music uh, fairly recently. He had just put out a brand new album called Ferns, and just phenomenal talent. And it was kind of his first show performing this newer kind of incarnation, and it was awesome. And the weather was really shitty yesterday, so leading up to the show, uh, there were power outages in certain areas, and the winds were just howling. The lights flickered here a couple of times. I thought we were going to lose power here in Northport. Luckily, we didn't. But it was just torrential downpour, howling winds, and during the day, I got some texts and messages from a few friends that weren't going to come out because of the weather, which I understand. But I was super bummed out during the day. Like, oh man, this is not. I'm looking forward to doing the show, but I was kind of bummed out going into it because I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to prevent people from coming out. I already had a few people kind of exit stage left from coming, which I understand. And then so I was kind of bummed out. I got to the venue and got there a little bit early, and Travis was already there setting up, which was cool. And so we took our time setting up. We ended up playing first with Quantum, and yeah, we kind of hung out and chilled out, got dinner, and ended up being a great night. A lot of people ended up showing up, and it was a really nice surprise. Some other friends came or brought people, and it was a super fun night. So definitely looking forward to doing some more shows together. It was a really cool billing. I think both of our bands are very different, but there's a lot of commonality. So really cool. So I want to thank the folks that came out, and especially Hey Sailor for letting us play and doing two full sets with two bands doing all original music. So that's where it's at. And there'll be more things coming up. This is the slower time of year, but there'll be more things coming up in the future. We do have a show coming up that's going to be part of the Ice Festival in Belfast. That's not till February, and I'm going to try to do some more stuff. Definitely do some more stuff with Travis in the future, and so stay tuned for more things on that front. Anyway, I went to Opera. Speaking of Opera House Video, I went to Opera House Video a few weeks ago, and I got some just absolutely incredible movies. They've had this really cool sale. Today, I think, is the last day for the Christmas holidays, but I ended up buying some really awesome exploitation movies, which I was so surprised. And especially they're all on DVD, but they're really good quality. And these were all movies by directors and films that I had never seen before or even heard of. So I was super pumped, and I watched all the movies. I got about four movies. It was like a little less than 2 weeks ago. I got four new movies, and I've been putting up the shows. I still have. Well, today's show is on a movie that I'm really excited to talk about, and then I have one more other movie to talk about after that. Super cool. And then tonight I'm really excited. I'm super pumped. The fabulous people at the who run the Waldorf After Dark film series and at the Waldorf Theater are showing Eyes Wide Shut. the last film that was directed by my favorite director of all time, Stanley Kubrick. An amazing film. So I'm super excited to see it on the big screen. I'm definitely going to do a show on it probably tomorrow on Sunday after the whole experience. I've seen Eyes Wide Shut. It's definitely one of those movies I've seen so many times I have lost count. I got to see Eyes Wide Shut originally when it came out in the theater, and it was just such a magical experience. And then a few years ago, I bought Eyes Wide Shut on Blu-ray. I have this really beautiful edition of it, and it's just fantastic. It's actually one of my most kind of like prized possessions as far as Blu-rays. It's amazing. And so as many times as I've seen it, since I bought it on Blu-ray, I've seen it a shit ton of times, and it's like a it's like a comfort movie for me. It's because it's a very slow, kind of meditative film, but super esoteric. It's strange and surreal, and kind of this. The movie has just such a haunting quality to it, and it's so beautiful. And the thing that's so funny is it is, even though obviously the story and what the movie is kind of about, or at least what we perceive it to be about, it's a Christmas movie. Like, it's got so many, virtually every scene in that movie, in Eyes Wide Shut, is like pure Christmas spectacle. It's wild. I think even movies, and I'll be doing, because Christmas is coming up, and I'll be doing my annual Christmas show, which I always look forward to do every year because there's so many Christmas movies. Um, but it's funny because if you took Eyes Wide Shut and say like a regular full on Christmas movie, like say I don't know, Home Alone or Elf, which are great movies, and you took those two films and compared it to Eyes Wide Shut, like as far as the scenes and some of the shots in the movie, I would say that Eyes Wide Shut has more Christmas shit in it than anything else, as far as like lights. The Eyes Wide Shut is one of the most visually, and Kubrick obviously total. I look at him as like he's such a visual director, and it's really due to him being a photographer for many years before he became a filmmaker. And he worked for, I think it's Look magazine in New York City for many years, and then he eventually got into filmmaking pretty late too, in his 20s. So um that's like his main, I feel like, what gives Kubrick's films such a certain style, such a style, and this kind of feeling of heightened reality is because of his visual background. And virtually every scene of that movie, there is so much Christmas stuff, Christmas lights, decorations. It's one of the most beautifully shot films ever. And there's literally Christmas stuff everywhere in every scene, in the front, in the foreground, in the background. I mean, but it's really funny. I've always found that is hilarious because the movie is super strange, super weird, and it's like stepping into a some kind of bizarre erotic um, dream. So, but I'm super excited to see it on the big screen. I can't wait, and I'll definitely do a show. I've done multiple shows on Eyes Wide Shut before, but this will be a different thing because it's an event, and there's a whole. They were saying it because the show is starting tonight at 7 o'clock, and the doors open at 6. And they said that when you go, if you get there at 6, you can there's going to be a mask making competition, which is amazing. So the Waldo After Dark folks always do such a great job with their movie presentations. They always put a lot of cool stuff out. In regards to the aesthetic of that particular film, they put a lot of movie memorabilia like tied to that particular movie. They always create a real cool vibe with like lighting. It's not just like paying a ticket and going to the movies. They have a real cool flair with like creating an event around that film. So I'm very much looking forward to it. So yeah, I went to Opera House Video, got some amazing films. Kidnapped Coed, which is phenomenal, and then another movie called Axe. And then today's show, which, oh my god, DVD. And again, all four movies I bought were DVDs, all unopened, perfect condition. When I got those films, Axe and Kidnapped Coed, they were both. It was two movies for one, all in the same package. The thing that I was blown away by was it's a DVD, and all of these DVDs, the quality is awesome. Really, really great. Really, really great. Some of the best DVD transfers I've seen in a long time. And but Axe and Kidnap Coed was a Severin release, and I was like blown away because I didn't think Severin put out DVDs at all. But anyway, this movie, Death Nurse, is absolutely fucking outrageous. It's one of those movies like, again, I saw it on the shelf at Opera House Video. I never heard of this movie. I didn't know anything about this movie. But again, it goes back to why I buy movies the way I do, because I'm a physical media guy, but I'm a person that, and again, this is a primetime example, and I get it. People want to do it. It's totally cool. It's maybe to a degree it's cheaper and it's a little bit less, um, just more convenient. But to me, it's part of the magic. When I saw these movies on the shelf during the Opera House's Opera House Video sale, what grabbed my attention was seeing this film, this one in particular, seeing this on the shelf, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Death Nurse? And it's a slasher movie, and I never heard of this movie, and it's beautiful packaging, and I'm like, look at that artwork. I'm like, yep, I'm totally gonna get this, and this was only like, I think it was only like $6. Never seen this movie, and it's definitely one of the trashiest movies I've seen in recent time. It came out in 1987. It's kind of labeled as a horror comedy film, but it's definitely a slasher movie as well. And it's basically about this doctor and this nurse that run this business and take in these patients, and they basically kill them, and they're both like serial killers. That's it. That's the movie. But it's fucking awesome, and it's super. It's got to be one of the most low budget things I've ever seen. I think it was all shot on video. I think it's a shot on video movie. That's at least how it feels. It came out in 1987. It was directed by Nick Millard. Yeah, it was written and directed by Nick Millard, and it's totally. And again, slasher films, the slasher genre is my favorite of all time. And so anytime, especially when if I come across a slasher film I've never heard of, and it's, one of, part of the, super sleazy world of exploitation, I am all about that. This came out in 1987. I never heard of this film. The cast is absolutely amazing and bonkers. Francis Millard, Nick Millard, Priscilla Alden, Igmar Millard. Lots of brothers and sisters in this movie. This has a ton of special features on here too, which is super awesome. And I believe that this film was shot on video. This is a an anniversary. This film came out 25 years ago, or at least that's when this film came out. This version of it. It's the 25th anniversary. It's a collector's edition of this movie. And I totally think that this movie was like, it feels like this movie was literally shot for like $30. I mean, it's so fucking trashy. It reminds me a lot of a John Waters film. It really reminds me of John Waters, big time. But but it's definitely a slasher film, and there's some I don't know, just so fucking bizarre. There's some situations in this movie that are just so bizarre with the doctor and this the death nurse, working with their patients and how they kill them, and then they do this whole thing of where they kind of bury their bodies, and it's just unbelievable. And then there's like scenarios of where the relatives of some of these patients, because they've gone missing, come to the hospital or come to this, and the other thing that's so weird is it's a doctor and a nurse that are both like serial killers, but they like run the business like out of their house. They have like a fairly large house. It's not even in a hospital. It doesn't even look like a hospital. And they kind of run this business out of their house. But yet people are like, going there to get treated, and it's fucking hilarious. And I totally feel like I do love the shot on video genre. I that's a genre I'm pretty new to. I got into it. The shot on video style is really awesome. I have a handful of movies in that genre. The movie that really did it for me, it was a style too, like that I didn't really know much about up until a few years ago. And I got turned on to the style of shot on video horror films a few years ago by my great friend Mike Vickers, because he told me, you have to check out this movie called Suburban Sasquatch. And he said, yeah, it's a shot on video, like uber low budget horror exploitation movie that was done in like the 90s, I believe. And I looked into it, and I was like, yep, and I bought it. Actually saw I he told me about it. He sent me a trailer for Suburban Sasquatch, and I was just like, oh my god. I was dumbfounded. And then a couple of weeks later, I was at Bull Moose, and this was probably about 3 years ago or so, 2 or 3 years ago. A few weeks after I went to, after seeing the video and checking out this whole new genre of film that filmmaking that I didn't really know about. And it's definitely, the shot on video genre is definitely part of the low budget, trashy exploitation world. Like, it's just another style within under the umbrella of exploitation. I checked out the video, that trailer he sent me, and I was just like enamored with it, and then kind of couldn't believe what I was seeing, and then read about it and was like, wait, there's a whole like genre of filmmakers that make this trash. And it was fascinating. And then a few weeks after that, I was at Bull Moose Music, and I saw that they had a Blu-ray edition of Suburban Sasquatch, and I instantly picked it up. And that movie is just fucking bonkers. It's totally insane, and it's one of those movies which often happens to me when I watch a lot of these exploitation movies. Is I'm like, I mean, first and foremost, I'm just having a really good time watching them. And then part of me is like, I can't believe this fucking got made. Like, how the fuck did this ever get made? But then you realize, well, it's like total DIY in most of the cases, and it's, they're just doing it. They're just making it happen. These filmmakers, and there's no budget. They don't even really use actors at times. So, I mean, like one of the best examples of that is Herschel Gordon Lewis films, where with Blood Feast, such an amazing film, and where he would have a cast and he would have certain actors in the film, and some people had no experience really as an actor, and then some people, there were a handful of actors that he used in a lot of his films, but he was known for like when he was doing a shot or shooting these films, and he would be somewhere in the public, and this was now when I mean typically now when films get shot, and it has been the case for many years, when you go to when a filmmaker goes to a location and they do the whole scouting thing, they'll spend a ton of time scouting of like locations of where they want to shoot the movie. And then a lot of the times they have to get permits by the town or the city. And so there's a lot of red tape that when filmmakers do a film, they have to like submit, and they have to get a permit to do these shoots. But in Herschel Gordon Lewis's case, and in the world of exploitation, there's no such thing. They just kind of they find a place they feel is cool and looks great, and then they just do it, often illegally. So, and Herschel Gordon Lewis had this reputation for when he would do a lot of these shoots for his films, there would be like random people like walking around, just kind of doing their thing, and he would pull them in and like ask them to act in his film or his films, and he would give them like maybe a line of dialogue, and sometimes not even the case, and suddenly they would be thrown into the film and they would shoot it for like one take, and then it would make the cut for the final cut of the movie. Just fucking crazy. And nothing like that ever happens again. Nothing like that really happens these days. But so when I got into suburban Sasquatch, I was like, whoa, what is this whole other genre? This whole kind of like sublet of exploitation. So I've gotten a few movies. One that really stands out is AIDS Jabber, which is just completely insane. And I feel like watching when I watched Death Nurse, it's definitely shot on video. Like, so I feel like it's, even though like reading about this movie and the there's some really great special features on here, I couldn't find any information that this movie was legitimately shot on video. Like, they didn't really say. Usually when you come across a movie in the genre, they do talk about, a lot of the times the labels that put out these movies will label it as a shot on video because it's actually a massive genre. But this doesn't have that label to it, and no one actually says in any of the special features that it was, but it totally feels like that way. And it really feels like it was shot for like 30 bucks. I mean, it's insane. But at the same time, and again, I totally think it's true, but it's the case that it's so terrible and so trashy that it's fantastic. It's just so, it's a movie that's just so goddamn far down deep, all the way balls deep into the sewer, that it works in this totally fucked up weird way. And I love this movie. I've only watched it the one time, and I was like, yep, I struck gold again. All four movies that I got at Opera House, I felt like I really struck gold. And they're all very different from each other. And yeah, I can't recommend this movie enough. It definitely has, for me, I would say, if you're a fan of John Waters films, you would love this, because it definitely has big time John Waters vibes, which again, one of the most amazing forces and directors in the world of trash cinema and exploitation. And it definitely has that kind of thing. It has like a Pink Flamingo vibe. Um, a lot of his earlier, trash cinema films definitely has that vibe to it. It's really funny too. It's really funny. Some of the kills, considering how low budget this movie is, are actually really good. It's super bizarre, and it's so utterly ridiculous and totally nonsensical. It's got some of the worst like dialogue I've ever seen in my life, but yet I think it's just fantastic. Um, I mean, it literally feels like there's somebody holding a piece of paper with the dialogue, and they're like holding it in front of their face while they roll the scene. But again, it's the case that it's so fucking bad that it's just fucking fantastic. It's just awesome. And the kills like are actually, some of them are really bad, 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 but then some of them are actually really good. And this movie is kind of fucking weird. It's super weird too. On a um
Towering plot.
slightly more serious note, this movie is pretty fucking weird. It's kind of disturbing, and it's super funny. It's a comedy. I mean, when you look it up, and when I looked this movie up, it is labeled online as like a black comedy slasher. Um, Definitely makes sense. Like, totally get that, and it definitely has those vibes, without a doubt. So, yeah, I can't, I can't stress enough on how what a fantastic movie this is. It's so out of bounds. It's so trashy. Yeah, it's just fantastic. Can't can't recommend it enough. And again, I can't believe that I got this on DVD. And for what it's worth, the quality, the transfer of this film is absolutely fabulous. Super excited. And and I would say with the DVDs that I got, again, it's all four movies. I got one more movie to talk about, the Vampire Happening, which is another just completely outrageous film. I'm really, really happy with these DVDs, like the quality. Like, I don't need to buy, an upgrade of these films, any of the films that I got, because I really feel quality wise, transfer wise, they look and sound uh, absolutely fantastic. I have a pretty decent amount of well, I have a shit ton of DVDs. I still have more DVDs than I do Blu-rays. But now I try to only buy Blu-rays, but and I just cancel myself out by just buying four DVDs. But a lot of the times I do, when it comes to trash cinema exploitation movies, I do have a fairly decent amount of DVDs. Not a lot. They're mostly Blu-rays. And some of the DVDs that I have of the exploitation movies are really, really bad quality. Like, they're bootleg copies, I think, and they were like taken, transferred from like VHS to DVD, so the quality is like kind of shit. There's a couple of movies that I have that I love them to death, and I'll still watch them, but the quality is so bad that it's just hard to see what the hell's going on because it's so grainy and just like shitty. But the quality of these DVDs is outstanding, like really, really good. So I don't feel like those movies that I mentioned that look really bad. I definitely want to get a really good upgrade. One movie in particular that was the case because I have it on DVD of this movie Curtains, which is a just absolutely fantastic Canadian slasher movie. I had a copy of that, or have a copy of that on DVD that I actually got at Opera House Video a few years ago, and just an amazing movie. But fairly recently, I got an upgrade of that movie on Blu-ray, and you know, just it's just superior version. But these DVDs that I got, and considering this is like total shit, it still looks great. Um, it's a beautiful pile of shit. This movie, it absolutely is. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough. 1987, Death Nurse. This movie is a trash, pure trash cinema at its best. Thanks again, and we will see you next time.